Hello. I just wanted to share with you this really fun analogy that came up in a conversation with a friend today. And she was asking me about what I'm doing in my practice, in my business these days, in the realm of supporting people through coaching and things like that. And kind of like how talking about a massage is so different from experiencing a massage. And no matter how amazingly you can describe what it's like to receive a massage, it pales in comparison to actually receiving a massage. And so I find that that's true for coaching as well. Coaching, the word coaching can mean so many different things to different people. And just talking about it can be a bit challenging sometimes. And so we were talking about it for a while. And one of the analogies that came up, and she gave me full permission to use this analogy, so thank you, Kim, was that we were borrowing from the realm of climbing. So, in the world of climbing, there's the one who's doing the climbing. I'm going to call them the climber. And then there's the person on the other side of the rope who is belaying them. So I'm going to call that person the belayer. And she was like, yeah, it's like you're the belayer. And it was like, yeah, for sure. Like the climber is the one who's, having to do the actual climbing with the support of the belayer. And the belayer can see the route from a different perspective. And so they can, share some insights from that perspective. And for example, she was saying, yeah, can warn you to don't put your hand on that ledge because there's a snake there. And I was like, yeah, and maybe actually they can see that what the climber thought was the snake is actually just a tree root, so it's okay. Things like that. And and then we continued this conversation, and I was like, yeah, but I feel like it is so important to me to hold people in such a loving space that even if even if something goes wrong and they fall off their climb, not only am I there with the rope, but also in my equipment, I have a super thick cushy crash pad. And she's like, yeah, so the landing's much softer than they anticipated and that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, not only, maybe sometimes, it's not a cushy crash pad. Maybe that crash pad is actually like a bouncy castle. And it's actually, a lot more joyful an experience than anticipated. And we continued along with this, and it was like, yeah, maybe the crash pad is actually like a trampoline sometimes. And what you think is going to be this hard landing is actually going to be springing you forward. And then I continue. I'm like, yeah, and maybe I'm on that trampoline too, and I can double bounce you. So a bit of effort from me gets you to just jump even higher than you could have on your own. So I just thought that was such a fun analogy. And so I wanted to just share that with you right away. And also, while using climbing as an analogy, it just reminded me that with my own experience of climbing, and I had a very strong fear of heights. And so my getting into the world of climbing was actually specifically to address my fear of heights. I was hoping it was going to help me deal with that, and it certainly did. I got a lot of lessons there, and helped me reorient even what I see as a supportive structure. For example, recognizing that I didn't have to have a ledge that was big enough to sleep on to be able to stand on it. I could stand on the tiny little ledges that I never would have thought was possible. But anyway, and along the realms of, not even recognizing what was possible, or recognizing that my own beliefs around what I was capable of were actually limited and not actually accurate. I feel like one of my biggest overall takeaways from my experience with climbing is okay, it's easiest if I just describe the first time this happened to me. So I was on a route and I could see like the next handhold that was available to me, and it just looked like impossibly far away. Like it just looked like so far. There was like no chance I was going to be able to reach it. Like no chance at all. And then so when I decided that that was true, that there was no chance that there was any way that I was going to be able to reach this hold, I was like, okay, so what are my options? I can let the belayer know that I'm just going to come down off the climb. I was like, well, okay, that seems kind of a little anticlimactic. It was like, well, what if like on my way down, I just try to go for it? So I told the belayer to like prepare, because I very much was expecting to fall as I was trying to go for this next hold. And wouldn't you know, I got the hold. I was just like, I still remember, like I so clearly, just that feeling of like having it and just being like, oh my gosh, like, how did I get here? Like, I got it. Like, wow. I never, I had no idea that I had it in me. And sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit with my exuberance and enthusiasm, but it was really blew my mind. And what I experienced over and over and over again as I was continuing with climbing was that there were so many times that I thought that there was no way that I'm going to be able to reach that hold. And like 95% of the time I did. And so it really made me curious as to like where else in my life I might be holding myself back because I had these false perceptions of my own capabilities. And so it really started to build more, I'm going to use the word, hi Raven, I'm going to use the word self-confidence. It helped me build like my courage to even try. And especially, I will underline that experience was definitely facilitated by having a belayer there with me. I knew that if I tried and failed, that there was somebody there to catch me. And that's such a great feeling. Just knowing that support was there in case I needed it, really helped me to reach those holds that I thought were just like impossible. And I feel like, again, this is just such a beautiful analogy for coaching, because, the belayer, oftentimes, the belayer is standing there on the ground and, they're doing their work. But really a lot of the time they're just like holding that loving space and letting your magic unfold. It's so beautiful. It's like one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is like witness people surprising themselves with their own capability, with their own strength. There's a helicopter. So I guess I just want to end this by inviting you to contemplate if there might be somewhere in your life that you might be holding back, and you have this idea that you're not capable of doing that. And I am so curious, what might it be like if you had the right support so that you could go for it? You might surprise yourself in your abilities. So I will leave that with you for today. As always, if you want to connect with me, I'm so happy to connect with you. I really truly am. I fully believe that there is a greater network out there in the ether helping to connect us all together. And so if you are feeling inspired to reach out, I encourage you to do so. So as always, my contact information is down in the description, and I hope you have a lovely day. Okay. Mwah.